Once again, getting back to the great sport of bobsleigh or bobsled, depending on where you are listening to us in the world. And I'm thrilled to welcome back to the show a guest who, I'm saying it, she did make the Olympics back in 2022 in a different capacity to maybe what she was hoping, but we're going to hear a little bit about that journey, and is currently on a further journey to make it back in a few months' time. It's so weird saying that, to Milano Cortina in 2026. It's a pleasure to welcome back to Off the Podium, Sarah Blizzard. Sarah, welcome back to Off the Podium.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back.
I am so happy to have you back, and I just want a slight bone to pick with you, but a good bone to pick with you, because every single time I see you on social media, you are working your butt off. You post amazing workout videos, and I always feel lazy that I'm there looking at it going, I'm just looking at a phone right now, not doing anything. So that actually kind of motivates me sometimes right now to go out and work out. So props to you with that weird bone to pick to start off the interview.
Yeah, training's been going really well lately. We're in a very heavy block, but I do enjoy getting some of that content for everyone to see. I get a lot of people comment about it while I'm back home about training and ask me questions. So I enjoy it, and I enjoy everyone's reactions. But look, if it's motivation for you, that's great.
I need any motivation I can get half the time, because, you know, there are those moments where I think like I'm doing good workouts, and then I'll just see someone like yourself or anybody else I follow and going like, yeah, I'm doing shit all. Like I need to pick the game up essentially with that. Is it sort of a planned, like when you're filming them? Because I always wonder when people are sort of filming their workout routines, like is it a case of that you plan, I'm going to film this today, or do you just put the phone down, do what you need to do, and then you edit later on going, oh, that turned out all right?
It's a little bit of both. Like sometimes I'm actually just filming to watch myself back. Like I do film a lot of, especially the running sessions for my coach. And then sometimes I'm like, yeah, like that's good. I've got enough. I'm just going to put it on a different angle and changed it to portrait instead of landscape, And then sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is a cool session today. Haven't posted anything about it. Haven't posted anything for a week or two. Let's just get some video and see what happens. So it is a bit of both. Yeah.
Is there a blooper reel that we can expect? Because I always love these things when like there's always got to be bloopers, right?
Oh, yeah. Like literally last week I had some warm-up squats, and I thought the next thing I was doing was some jump squats. So I've taken all of the weight, and it's all on video too. I took all of the weight off, and then took off my weightlifting shoes, and then looked at the program and realized that I still had like 5 sets of squats to go, like 80 kilos. So I changed up. I was actually doing like a mic'd up one for something, a little project coming up. So yeah, that was all on video.
Good. I just always like to say blooper ones are always fun. So go out that way. Because actually, I said to you off air, listen to our chat that we did a few years ago. And at the end of that chat, you had mentioned that you had just gotten onto TikTok. Now, this is like, what, 2022, 2021, essentially, when TikTok was barely a thing. Now it's everyone's on that, and you're killing it on TikTok. So you've learnt it a little bit over the last few years.
TikTok's the harder one for me. I definitely spend more time scrolling than posting, and it ends up being whatever I post on Instagram goes on TikTok, or little things here and there. But, Instagram seems to be for me the easy one, and TikTok just happens as it happens.
Instagram's fun. I'm a bit older than you, and I still look at TikTok and think, am I allowed to be on this? Am I too old to be on it? You do hit an age sometimes when you think, am I allowed to do this because I feel too old? So
I'm right on the edge.
Yeah, well,
I think everyone younger than me is on it. Everyone older than me isn't. So I'm right on the edge of that one.
Yeah, no, it's that weird thing. As mentioned in the intro, 2022, Beijing, you did go, but in a different capacity. Now, when we last spoke, you were sort of in that process of qualifying and everything on that. You end up making the team, but as a reserve. So give us a bit of a background on sort of how that happened, sort of the qualification and everything, and then sort of everything that led into you being announced as that reserve for the Australian Olympic team in 2022.
Yeah, so last time we spoke was before the start of season. We were just getting everything prepared and had no idea how it was going to turn out. It was my first crack at trying to make an Olympics. I was in really great shape. It just seemed like I got all of the bad luck I could have had over all my sporting career. So it started off, we went over to China for the test event, and I actually got a concussion, which was a weird one because I didn't realize straight away. We didn't crash or anything. I just suddenly had this shocking headache after a day of sliding, and it was like nothing I've experienced before. So that obviously affected training a lot. Every time I tried to do anything, I started with the thumping headaches again. So weightlifting and running took a bit of time to come back. And then we came back to Europe. I'm just trying to remember it all now. It was such a big year and so long ago, but we came back to Europe. We unfortunately had a crash as well, kind of in my first run back. And look, crashes happen. It's fine. It took a bit out of the body. It wasn't too bad. But then the week later was my first race of the season. And it definitely wasn't what we were expecting. We wanted to push faster. And I definitely think that a few weeks ago, I was definitely in shape to push faster. So that was a little bit, it wasn't the best start to the competition season, to be honest. Obviously, you start downing yourself and where you're at. But at the same time, I think after that, things started to come really good. So we went to Winterberg next. Bree and I, this is when I was starting with Bree for everyone who doesn't know. So
I was gonna just clarify that you're still with Bree at this point, weren't you?
Yeah. So we went to Winterberg. We pushed an amazing PB. Like that was probably the fastest I've ever pushed. That's actually shown on a track so far. So we pushed really great. And then we ended up also having Kiara come and join the team for a race the following week. So I didn't get that race. And then basically it was Christmas time. I ended up getting COVID and that kind of just put almost an end to everything. I missed the next 3 races. Was it 2 or 3 races? I can't remember, but I think it actually could have been 3 and there was only 4 left. So
wow.
I had COVID. I couldn't go and train anywhere. I basically couldn't leave the house that I was in. And this was in like peak COVID as well.
Yeah.
So during all that, I'm trying to get COVID tests as often as I can. I'm doing the rapid tests every day to see when they start showing negative. I paid a fortune on top of the fortune I was already paying for the COVID test we had to get like 2 negative ones within a certain time frame to prove that we were good to come back. And then basically it worked out I could come back for the last race, which was in St. Moritz. St. Moritz does have a bit of a higher elevation than other places. And I've just come back from COVID. I could not breathe. I was struggling. Like I tried to train as much as I could while I was isolated, and I was doing a lot of mental training as well for the push because I couldn't physically train. And just, I came back. My warm-up took me like an extra half an hour instead of like just under an hour because I just needed such big breaks, and I gave it everything. Like I think that's one of the pushes I've given absolutely everything, but there was just nothing in the tank. So ultimately, whoever is the brakeman racing at the games, it's selected off the times that you're pushing in races is the most basic way I can explain that. So I just didn't have the time there to get me that spot racing on the team. And in the end went as an alternate.
Before I get to that and how that was, that selection and everything towards that point, you mentioned you had concussion, but you didn't crack. Like how did you work out how you got the concussion at any point?
It was from a run. I don't necessarily I didn't pass. I didn't get knocked out. And we all know now, there's a lot of more data around concussions. You don't have to get knocked out for it. Sometimes you don't even realize, but sorry, Brie, it was one of the rougher runs that we had. I feel bad saying that. Especially as a pilot now. But we did hit some walls. I did get knocked around a bit, and that's bobsleigh again. That happens in bobsleigh. But we hit some walls. I just remember getting out. It was rough. I actually had some bruises on my hip from that day of sliding. And all I remember getting out the bottom, okay. But it was also a new track for Brie to learn and a new track for us. So it wasn't like it was, a track she had experience on. It was a new track and a lot of people were having issues. So I just have obviously whacked my head pretty hard at some point, and it was just unlucky enough that that's what it ended up in.
Fascinating, because it is one of those things that you just assume concussion, there's been a crash, there's been an obvious hit on the head. It's something that straight away you're going to get tested for, not one of these things that if you've been roughed around a little bit, that's going to lead to that. So, I guess it was monitoring those symptoms, as you said, with the headache and everything, and then somebody just goes, hey, yep, you've got some concussion.
Yeah, I pretty much had said to one of the physios that we had there that I was feeling absolutely rubbish and my head was hurting. It was very intense. And he's like, well, should we do some tests? Should we do some concussion tests? And I'm like, what do you think? Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and I'm fine. Maybe it's a migraine. Maybe it's just a headache, And he's like, no, I'd rather do the concussion tests and be safe. Be better to just do them and not do them and then something happen again and make it worse. So I was very lucky that I was looked after pretty well in that sense. But we did the test and it was a minor concussion. It wasn't anything major. It's just that, I had the headaches. My vision felt like shit, basically. I wear glasses normally. I'm very blind. I have very bad eyesight. So I'm wearing contacts now, obviously. But
I was going to say, can you say hello? Can you see me right now? Do you need to take a moment?
But yeah, like my eyesight it hurt to be looking at things. Like my eyes just hurt as well. And it almost felt like kind of like a weird migraine in a way. But I think from the next day I tried to go to the track and I felt like hungover. Like I felt, that's probably the best way to explain it. And just from there it got pretty bad. I ended up just being in, dark room by myself a lot, and I felt very cloudy for a bit. And eventually I did feel a lot better. Towards the end of it, we were there for 3 weeks. It was a long time. Towards the end of it, I went out to the track and, moved some sleds, but every time I did it, I felt exhausted. So yeah, that kind of took me a bit by surprise that that's what that was, and it was going to be that bad from something that I didn't even know that had happened. But I guess it's really good that there's a lot of awareness around it, and I was looked after pretty well, which I think is important for all sports as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say the awareness that now we're obviously seeing a lot with concussion, obviously gone great lengths to where we're at now. And if that had happened to you 10 years ago, we obviously completely different.
Get back in the sled, suck it up, off you go.
Exactly. Here you go. Have some wheat bix, get in the sled. Come on, what are you talking about? What was that then like? So after that qualification phase, and then when the selections come out, because I'm assuming you're maybe thinking, well, I might be in with a chance here. It depends on how it goes. And ultimately, what was then was it a phone call, an email saying, well, sorry, Sarah, you haven't made the team, but you are an alternate, you're a backup. Like, what sort of is that process like, and how do you feel when you get that news?
I kind of had an idea before my last race, actually, because there were some things that had been sent out throughout our team, and like some things that had been done that I'm like, oh, I guess it's set that I'm probably not going to be the one that's racing. So that was very hard mentally going into the last race, knowing that. Unless I pulled something amazing out. You never know. You never know what was going to happen. But also realistically, I did just have COVID and we were in Maritz and I hadn't been able to train. So pretty much from then we went into a training camp and I had a fair idea. Like I said, it's kind of mostly based off push times compared to the rest of the field. And I could tell that obviously my push times weren't up there. But obviously there's that little bit, you never know what's going to happen. Like maybe my experience has helped, maybe all of this. And like every day is a bit like a roller coaster. Every hour was kind of like a roller coaster. And then ultimately it was an email pretty much to say like, you've been selected, your role is alternate, pretty much something along those lines. I don't think I've ever looked back at that email, to be fair. And honestly, that was really tough. Like that was like that year. And like from that moment onwards and for the months after, it was definitely one of the harder parts mentally from my life, because you train for something, you spend so long trying to get it, and I know I'd only been in the sport for 3 years, but when you're trying to make the games, you have to go in acting like feeling as though you're going to qualify. So mentally you set yourself up for qualifying, and then you have to be realistic about it, but it's still hard. It's always going to be hard, I think, not being selected to race at the games. And yeah, pretty much from then, to be completely honest, I cried a lot. I don't really know how else to put it. Like it was really tough, and we were all in a training camp with the team, and just I kind of kept to myself a little bit. But I think it was also the girls were doing a lot of Olympic related stuff, and I was like, well, I'm not involved with it anyway. There was a bit of drama around that meant that only those two girls were kind of like announced as a team, and I wasn't really announced, and they were doing all these meetings and everything. So I kind of kept to myself. I still trained. I was still doing everything. I just kind of stayed in my room and cried a little bit, a lot. But also just kind of got on with it at the same time, because it is what it is. It sucks, but I still got to try. I still have a responsibility to be an alternate. If you're an alternate, you're not just sitting back doing nothing. You're training as if you're racing, basically.
Because I can imagine it's one of those things that, in a way, do you wish that you weren't an alternate, because then you can maybe just completely block everything out, cry, just turn the Olympics off and deal with that, rather than, as you're saying, kind of being on the edge. Like you're still part of that team, but it's almost in your face more at that point, I can imagine.
That's a really hard question, and I've thought about it a lot myself. Like during the games, I was kind of like, I kind of wish I wasn't here. Like I wish I wasn't here at all. And a lot of people obviously would have wished that they were there. So that was a very hard thing for me to actually get out, because I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'm not having fun. Like in saying that though, looking back on it now, and I knew this at the time, but I couldn't understand it. I knew it was going to be a very good experience not necessarily a joyful, fun experience, but a good thing to see so that if I do make the games another time, I have this experience under my belt. And I can appreciate that now. And I knew at the time I would appreciate it in the future, just not during that time. But looking back at it now, like I've seen how an Olympics works. I know that when I go there, it's all just business. I don't need to like get caught up in all the Olympic stuff. Like it's still part of it for sure. But yeah, definitely at the time, I'm like, I don't want to be here. I really don't. This is not fun at all. Everyone's having so much fun and they're so excited to be here. And it was very hard. I am grateful for the experience, but I think that is part of why I decided to go into piloting sleds instead, because I didn't want to be an alternate again. And if it came to this games and something happened and I was considered an alternate, I probably wouldn't go, which again, I think a lot of people probably wouldn't understand, having like people who are in my position maybe, but yeah, it's probably better to kind of protect myself a bit, I guess.
So instead of just waiting around and hoping that Kiara injures herself or gets sick or something along those lines, what is actually your role in Beijing? What does the alternate do?
Basically be ready in case something like that does happen. Obviously, right. You don't want that to happen.
Poison a wheat bix, give a cough on her a lot. Would you like some of this dodgy looking cheese, Kiara? Just, take some.
Yeah, like obviously you don't want that to happen. Like they've chosen that team for a reason and you don't want anything like that to happen. But basically my role was to be ready for anything. I'm still training. And again, it seemed like at that point I was in the shape of my life. Like I have videos of me training there. I'm like, man, I would have loved to have seen what I pushed. But it's just to be ready, even on race days, on training days, warm up as if you are racing in case something was to happen last minute. But the other main role that people don't actually see or don't actually know about is all the sled mechanics, the moving the sleds, the getting the sleds ready, the runners and everything. Like I was going there outside of all the training with the coach to go and do sled work, which was hours in the cold. I was preparing the sled for race day. I was preparing the runners. I was moving the sled. Like I was going there and moving the sled behind the scenes and everything. And that's something that people don't know about bobsleigh, is just how much extra stuff that there is to do. And when it's an Olympics, unfortunately, I'm not racing. I get stuck with that stuff more so than the others, which, doesn't really make it much better. But I think it's part of it. Like I don't know. I think automatically I just did that. I would have done that anyway. I could have been there crying while I'm doing it, but I still did it anyway. Not that I was, but it's just part of the role. And when you're in and around bobsleigh, you kind of know that already. Like I was an alternate for plenty of other races before that, and that's just what you do. So it's all part of it, and it's not the fun part, but it's still part of bobsleigh. So,
do you get to still stay in the village with Kiara and Bree as well?
I did. I was quite lucky. I think there was quite a lot of other alternates who stayed somewhere else, and it was a little bit far away. So I did stay in the village. I actually ended up having my own room for some of it. Yeah. Which was great. So we started off. You
just pissed a few people off there, I think, by saying that.
No, well, I started off with Kiara, and then there ended up being a spare room. And Alyssa Camplin came up to me. She's like, "Would you mind if we split you guys up so that you could have your own space? If she does end up getting sick, you need to be healthy, kind of thing." And I was like, "I'm fine with that. I love having my own room. We never get our own room all season." And I was like, "Yeah, go for it, please." And she was like, "Wow. Only if you're okay. I don't want to split you up." I'm like, no. We don't get a lot of personal space in this sport. So, but she was actually so lovely about it. She was really lovely to meet and talk to about it all. So, but yeah, I had my own room. I was, again, pretty lucky. It was a pretty good village, and yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Alyssa, because in your last chat, we brought up the question was about what other sport would you like to try if you're in Olympic. You mentioned aerials. You mentioned how you grew up admiring Alyssa and reading her book and everything. So I was going to ask you, what was that like getting to hang out with her? Because I remember back during Beijing, we were saying, she's everywhere. You turn on the TV. Yeah. She's there. I don't know how she travelled to every single Australian event, but she did it. And obviously we're about to see her again as a chef de mission for next year. So she's just amazing.
She's incredible. She is a really awesome person, and I definitely got to speak to her a lot during the Olympics, and she's like a mum. She's like a team mum. Or I don't really know how to explain it, but that auntie that you don't get to see often, but she's always so lovely. She'll always react here and there to posts and comment on them, which is really nice to see that she's following along. But she's just as lovely as she looks on TV and everything. She's she's made for the role, basically. She's made for her job. I saw her recently at the Olympic processing day that we had in Melbourne, and yeah, it was very nice to see her. So people always say don't meet your idols, you're going to be disappointed, but I don't think anyone could ever be disappointed in her. She's, like I said, she was a bit of an idol growing up, and since meeting her, she's just been nothing but lovely to me. So yeah, A lot of
I think
respect for her.
I think both the summer and winter teams are in such good hands at the moment. Obviously, Alyssa on the winter side and Anamiz on the summer side.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just, I mean, both are incredible athletes, incredible people, incredible leaders, and just nothing but good things that you hear from athletes and how they deal with everything along those lines too. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Alyssa again there next year in Italy. She still, and also going to say, she still looks like she should be competing. She looks fit
I know.
young enough that she should be out there, right?
I mean, good for her.
I know.
Impressive,
I mean, that was
yeah.
20. I mean, next year will be 20 years, since she last won a medal at the Olympics. So, I mean, yeah, insane that she's still out there looking so good. Did you get the chance to sort of do little Olympic things like pin trading, going to other events, stuff like that? I mean, I guess you're still soaking it in while you can there, while you're there.
Yeah, you kind of had to make the most of like the little moments here and there. Actually, the other day I found all the pins that I collected and swapped. I was cleaning out my room. I really need to do a big cull of all my stuff. So you can imagine I'm always all over the place. So things just collect. But anyway, I found all of the pins and it was like a good handful of pins and like they're pretty cool. It's cool to look back on. But yeah, I did go up to one of the skiing events. It was just like up the mountain from where we were. And there was something, I went up to like a lookout all by myself and stuff. Like it was just, there was a lot of little things that I could still do. In saying that, there was still a lot of things that had to be done for bobsleigh, like all the behind the scenes stuff and training as well. So I really enjoyed the training that I was doing there. Our coach that we had at the time was like always coming along to and just training with just me as well. So it was kind of like separated me a little bit, which was nice. And like I really enjoyed that side of it. But yeah, still got to do the Olympic things. Opening and closing ceremony as well was pretty cool.
Which I also love hearing just the mood general from the Australian team. We've had so many athletes post-Beijing talk about it. Obviously, our most successful games ever in terms of total medals won. The sliding team alone. I mean, Jackie silver, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Very strong
amazing.
result in the monobob, and then her and Kiara as well. Like, I mean, just that vibe, that mood, did that kind of, I guess, help with how you were feeling overall there, that you could be around sort of just how everybody no doubt was feeling there in Beijing?
Yeah, I definitely think like everyone has their own job there and their focus there and they're doing what they're doing. So you kind of get a bit involved with that. It almost gives you like a fake sense of like, you know, you're also like, obviously you're part of it, but it definitely helps that everyone is so focused and they're like, you know, celebrating their results. Like Jackie's medal, amazing. And I've told her that many times, but like, yeah, amazing. And I think that was like probably the time during the games where I felt the best. I don't really know how to explain that, but you know,
we all did. Let's be honest.
you see someone win a medal. Like at that point, we hadn't really met each other. Like I think during the games was the most time we'd spent together. Since then, she's actually been in Brisbane, and I was living in Brisbane last year, and we've become a lot closer. But like, she's a lovely person. She's amazing, and I'm still like, yeah, that was one of my favorite moments of the games, is her winning that medal. So it definitely like, yeah. At times during that, you kind of forget about your own stuff and you're celebrating everyone else. And even like during the competition and everything like that for bobsleigh as well, it's kind of the same. You forget about your own stuff. You get to the job that you've got to do. I was basically there for Bree, there for the girls, making sure that they need everything and also like enjoying the moment with them as well.
I can also imagine, Sarah, that it's extra motivation for you then towards where we're at now, towards 2026, because you've experienced that disappointment not making the team. It's all right there. You're this close, you can basically touch it. Did you leave Beijing with just an extra sense of desire to push further towards 2026?
Yes and no. It, again, came in waves. It was a bit like a roller coaster. Some days I'm like, I think I'm done. And some other days I'm like, stuff this, I'm going to go pilot. While we were at the games, I was very lucky, actually. The British girls had come up to me asking if I wanted to go and do a development camp with them for driving in Lake Placid. And I was like, I had actually done one a few years before in La Plagne in France. But I was like, oh, I don't know. They're like, come on, girl, just do it. Like, you're going to regret it if you don't. Give it a go. If you don't like it, you don't have to keep driving. It'd be so much fun. You can stay with us. Let's just do it. I'm like, stop it. Why not? That's not what I said. I said maybe a word I can't say on here.
You can say it on here. Don't worry. Go for it. Swear your ass off.
Yeah. Like it was the moment of like, fuck it, let's go. Like, let's just give it a go. Because what am I like? Maybe I'll go there. I'll hate it. So what? I'll have some fun with some other people. If I love it, then great. I know I love it. So I think that was a kind of like something that I was then looking forward to. I think I told Brie like after the monobob race, Because I was like, I didn't tell her for a few days because I'm like, I don't need to tell you that I'm going to go try piloting while you're still racing. But no, she was very supportive as well. But I went and gave that a go. And I had such mixed emotions going into it. Like some mornings I'd wake up anxious. I'm like, what have I done? Like, why do I want to do this? And some days I'm like, oh, this is going to be so much fun. I came back and only had like, I don't even think it was like 10 days at home before I flew over to America again. I was still jet lagged and I was going back overseas to a different country. So I just jet lag all over the place. Got over there. I was absolutely exhausted. I still think I was in like a bit of a mental fog kind of stage as well, like still struggling mentally, but like, you know, I'm doing stuff. Let's go. Let's give this a go. And as soon as I went down on that first run, I'm like, okay, let's go. This is what I'm going to do. And honestly, when I did the development camp back in at the start of 2020, the first time I did a run, I was like, this is what I'm going to do one day. Like I want to drive sleds one day. So yeah, did the camp in Placid, was a lot of fun, got beaten up. It's a very—
No concussion this time, I'm hoping? You're driving, you can avoid the walls, or?
I'm driving. I was a new pilot, in my defense. I think everyone got fairly beaten up. But no, it was a lot of fun and I had a really good group of people around me. The IBSF, the International Federation, ran a really good camp. We did some pushing as well. We had like some social nights and everything like that. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then I came back, was like, all right, I really want to do this. From then on, it was still a bit of a roller coaster on what I was trying to decide on what I was doing. Because some points I'm like, I'm not enjoying training. You'd think this new goal would kind of help me, but I was really struggling to get it all organized to make it happen. Because with monobobs, there was none available to rent because they're only doing it for like 2 or 3 seasons, 2 seasons, 3, I don't know, a few seasons before the Olympics. It was very new. So it's not like you could rent an old monobob and go and race. You had to have one of these new monobobs. So eventually we tracked down someone who was selling one that they just bought because they had an extra one that they no longer needed. That was very expensive, and it's a very expensive way to have to start in this role. Couldn't even just buy an old one or rent one for a few weeks because the renting was basically, you could rent it for 2 seasons and you basically paid for the price of a new monobob.
Wow.
So I was like, well, we're going to kind of have to do it if we want to try this. Let's do it. Worst case, we sell it or we rent it for a few years and then sell it and we'll make the money back. No problem. But that was a big risk, obviously. But then just trying to get things organized, I was really struggling with. And eventually it got to a point where I'm like, well, I would like to go on season with Bree, but also, oh, sorry, Dad's calling me. Sorry, Dad. Find your call.
Sorry, Dad. You can listen back to this later on and be like,
unless he wants to be on the podcast.
We've never had a father call in before, so you know, never know. It could be fun.
Ask him how I was during that time. He would say I was very moody. But no, like on the point of my dad and my mum and dad, they were the main reason why I was able to make that happen, to get the sled, to get everything together, because there was no funding or no support for me to do that. But it ended up that I went on season as Bree's brakeman as well as driving. So her coach, I also paid her coach and he taught me to drive, and I was her brakeman as well.
And you, sorry to interrupt, you were, when you say driving, that was a monobob that you were just doing
the monobob. Yes. Yeah. So I had my own monobob in season and started off with a bit more learning to drive sleds, and then it kind of, as season went on, it was more braking for Bree. And we actually had some really good results that season. We had a lot of fun. It was just the 2 of us. A lot of laughs at myself and the things that I was doing in the sled because, you know, I'm learning to drive. It's not the easiest thing. But we had a lot of fun. Like we got a 4th place.
The tracker or the medals behind you. Is that sort of what?
Yeah. So we had the 5th place at the Winterberg World Cup that season. We also had a 2nd and 3rd at the Europa Cup in Winterberg there too. So the results were there. I had the worst year of training, like leading up to that. It was so on and off. But still I was pushing kind of half okay. Like I'm not saying I was pushing amazing, but it's probably some of the faster push times I put down, but also keeping in mind I didn't get to push a lot the season before. So I think like a lot of the gains we made that season kind of came through. But yeah, we had a lot of fun and got to the end of season. I'm like, yeah, I really just want to give this driving a go. If I'm going to do it and try and qualify for the next games, I need to go off and do that myself now.
The duo of Bree and Sarah then basically has to depart because you're going like, I've outgrown sitting with my head in your butt basically now, Bree. I need to I need to go look out the front and have somebody else behind for once.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've been together, it was like 4 years at that point. I'm saying like it's a relationship. I mean, it basically is like, it's a small team. It's a team sport, but it's a very small team. So that was kind of the end of that team. Obviously, we're still very close. Like I literally saw her the other day, and instead of talking about team things, we're talking about pilot things, just planning things for the upcoming season. So yeah, it's nice.
How is it then when you go out and try and form a new team? Because obviously you've got a few other bobsledders who are out there in Australia. Like, are you basically, now that you're the pilot, I want this person, are you making phone call? I mean, we'll get to Ash obviously shortly, but like, I mean, at that point, how are you going about finding a brake woman for yourself?
It's definitely had its challenges, and it's gotten better basically as of last season. So from there, at the end of that first season, I first spoke to Desi Johnson, who was my first brake woman. So we called her. She had a lot of injuries going on, but basically I was like, if you want to try the sport, I'm going to go and do a development camp in the plant in 2-man. If you want to come, I don't really care about your foot. Obviously I care about your foot, but like, I don't care if you can't run. Basically, if you want to get in a sled, if you want to try it, come over. And from then on, she also then came on season for part of the next season. I also got very lucky. We had a testing camp for the Federation, like a physical testing recruitment style camp. And from then I had Nat, who was also my brakeman. So we called her and was basically like, can you come over to like, just to Lilyhammer and just smash out a heap of sliding, a heap of racing. And yeah, it was a lot basically. And she absolutely smashed through all of that. And she also came back later in the season as well. So yeah, they were very good, and they got me through my first season of like the 2-man piloting. And then to get people involved in the following season, that's when this was last season. So it's all very recent. So we had Nat, unfortunately couldn't make it happen. She's now expecting a baby, which is very exciting. She got married. She's about to have a baby. She's absolutely glowing. Desi's had some foot issues that meant that she wasn't able to come either. But we had, again, the recruitment camp who I found Hayley from. So Hayley actually came for most of last season, and she has picked up the sport so well. Like, she picked it up amazingly. And then Ash spoke to me before the start of season, was like, hey, if you need someone, like, I'm thinking of kind of training for bobsleigh because I enjoy it. But if you need someone, I'm here. Like, no pressure, no nothing. But if you get caught out, just let me know. And then I was like, are you serious? Because I kind of need someone. She came over at the start. She did my first World Cup race as a pilot with me, and that was so much fun. And then she had to go home, but she ended up getting called back over for the second half of season. So that was a lot of fun with her. A lot of people were like, oh, how'd you go as having a pilot in the back seat? I'm like, honestly, it was actually really good. She wasn't like, over the top telling me what to do, but she's like, do you want some feedback? I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, oh, there was like a little tap here or here. I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't feel them. That's good to know. Like, it must have meant that I was skidding or whatever. And that's really helpful. And she kind of knows that, like, I guess her role is a brakeman, but her experience is very valuable. So I got very lucky with that, basically.
It's so interesting because obviously people are listening to these in order. They heard our chat with Ash last week. You haven't heard it yet, so you haven't heard her sort of side of it. And I was going to bring that up because I did ask Ash how it was for her going from like pilot back to brake woman, and she sort of mentioned that, it was challenging, but she's enjoying it. And I was going to ask you, is she a backseat driver? Like, literally is a backseat driver, but like, I mean, are there times where you just like just let me do my thing, like I know what I'm doing? But it sounds like it's sort of more like there's been positive aspects of that.
Yeah, definitely a lot of positive aspects. Sometimes it was a bit rough. I'm like, I'm so sorry. She's like, Sarah, I did a lot worse to myself, and I've done a lot worse to myself in rugby for the last few years. Like, this is nothing. And I'm like, it actually made me feel really good because I'm like, I feel bad if I beat someone up. I know what it's like in the back, and I know that it's rough, and I know that these hits hurt. So I feel really bad, but she's like, don't even worry about me. I will do anything. I'll get in. Like, you could hit me many, many times throughout the run and I'll still get back in. So she definitely filled me with a lot of confidence, which was really good. I'll be honest, I didn't know how it was going to go. Like, when I asked her, I just had a good feeling. And I was like, I guess I just need to trust my gut. Like we hadn't really spoken a lot before that point. Like we'd seen each other here and there, but we're on different circuits and everything. So we didn't really know each other that well. And I was like, I get a good feeling. I'm just going to have to trust my gut. Let's see what happens. And it turned out really well. But no, she wasn't too much of a backseat driver. Like only when I like asked, or if she asked if I wanted feedback. So it was all very like very helpful is probably the way to say it. But she and her experience has made a very big difference, and it takes a bit of stress and pressure off me as well.
Well, I talked with her about how, to me, this would be the ultimate redemption story, and Channel 9 will be owing me lots of, presents and everything for all the content they're getting from your interview and for Ash for next year. Because obviously, if you make it to Milan, I mean, we all know her story of basically qualifying for 2 Olympics and not being able to go to either of them, you being the alternate, and sort of just what that would be like. This is just like Cool Runnings 2, Sarah and Ash, like making it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess given her experiences with the Olympics, yours now with Beijing, again, is it that motivation factor that you're able to work off each other with those disappointments to fuel you towards hopefully both your proper debuts next year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the goal, qualify for the games. And I do have 3 brakemen, so it's a competition within all of them to work out who goes as well. But I do think everyone has said to us, yeah, that story would be amazing for the 2 of you to go together. It's the same situation as when we spoke last time. A lot needs to happen for us to get there. And we've spoken about it a lot because obviously similar stories, different situations, but very similar at the same time. And we've spoken about it and how that will impact our mindset and the way we do things going into next season. And it's really nice to have someone who understands it and is on the same page as well. Whether she was sliding for me or not, I think that it's very great that we've kind of had this connection now. So just things like make sure that we actually enjoy the process and just enjoy the sport that we're doing, because I think that got taken away from me from the last games as well as a little bit on last season because it was just a very stressful season. But just enjoy what we're doing, give it everything, give it absolutely everything, and try and go in with no regrets. If we miss out, we still want to be in a good mindset. We still want to be enjoying our sport. We still want to walk away from it feeling good within ourselves, which I think we've both matured a lot since the last games as well. Our lives look very different, very, very different to back then. A lot has changed. So, but just talking about it, even after the Olympic processing day we had. So that's basically a day where we go and, we hear about the village. We go and we're with all the other Olympic athletes and the people trying to qualify for the games. We try on all the uniform and everything. She asked how I was feeling at the end of that. And I'm like, honestly, it was more of a business day. There was little parts here and there that were overwhelming, but not necessarily in a really bad way. But we also spoke about how we're feeling about the upcoming season, if we're anxious. And I'm like, look, if I go into season thinking we're not going to qualify, of course we're not going to qualify. If I'm going in thinking that it's just not going to happen, it's just not going to happen. If I go in knowing that it's something that we can do, it's more of a chance of happening. Mindset is a massive thing in this sport, especially as a pilot trying to focus on driving and everything. I don't want to be thinking about whether I'm qualifying for the Olympics while I'm driving down a run. So I don't want that to take over what I'm trying to do. And I want to try and have that positive mindset, knowing that realistically, maybe we might not qualify, but also we could qualify and that would be amazing. And we just need to keep focused on what we're trying to do and not lose ourselves in the process and make sure we just enjoy what we're doing.
You're back in Australia at the moment. Obviously, it's off season right now for you. So what then is the process for you? We're doing this in May, end of May. So what are the next couple of months looking like for you before you're back on a plane, back in a sled and pushing towards Milan?
So right at the moment, not a lot because I just had some injections into my lower body. I had PRP in my calf from a calf injury last year to kind of just get that last little bit of healing because there was a bit of scar tissue and it just wasn't fixing itself. And also kind of a bit of a step up from PRP I had in my Achilles because I had some Achilles issues at the end of last season. I had that on Monday. It's now Wednesday and I can't walk properly still. So
wow,
that's going to be a bit of a process to try and get that feeling better. Hopefully by the time that this is aired, I'm back to full training and it won't be an issue. But yeah, training's actually going really well. I spoke to my coach last night about all of this and we both agreed that training's going really well. We wouldn't have changed anything from the last few weeks. I was training at full capacity, just these little things were bothering me. So just like in terms of like technique with sprinting, the weights that I was moving, everything was really good. So the first step on the 7th of June, we have some physical testing with the Federation. And that is just all the athletes who have competed and are competing next season. So it's not a recruitment day, but that will be the next step, which will be a bit of a push to get there and be running there because that's not far away.
No, not at all.
What is it? It's now the 21st of May. So
yeah, 2 weeks basically.
Yep. I'll be there. May not be the best I've ever
Whether
run.
you'll be at full capacity or limping slightly, we'll soon find out.
I'll get it done either way. But then from then, I'm basically on a plane straight away overseas. So we have a team training camp from like end of June to start of July. We are going over there to do some pushing because we can't push in Australia. So my coach is over there. He's German, my physical training coach. So he'll be over there. He'll come and join us. We'll team up with the Belgian girls because we work with them all season anyway. And some of the Czech boys, my fiance is Czech and he's trained by the same coach as me. So we'll train with some of those guys and another German guy as well. And then we'll do a little bit of like testing just so that the girls can get used to testing before we have to test later in the year. So basically they'll all go home. I'm going to stay over there as well so I can get some specific training in and some pushing in over there as well and be around my coach a little bit too. And then just before start of season, we don't have a date yet, October, maybe we'll do some push testing for the Federation. So that will be more for the girls. So for the brakewomen, obviously it's important for me to do too, but just to kind of see who's going to be coming on season to work out, just have some results on the table. And then from then we go straight into sliding. So we'll have about 2 or 4 weeks of preseason sliding, just getting used to being in the sled again and getting some runs on some tracks and getting more experience. And then we start with the first event, which is the test event in Cortina, which doubles as a World Cup.
I was going to ask how's that looking? Because, I mean, we know the challenges around that track and they're very proud of the Italians for getting it up so quickly after looking like they weren't even going to have one. But, I mean, initial thoughts on what you've seen of it?
It is a construction site still. I'm just seeing if I have some videos here, so I'll see what I can get up. But it's still very much a construction site.
Considering that they were going to ship it off to Lake Placid, wow, that is very much a construction site, but that's still, wow.
Everywhere down the track is.
Jeez. That's maybe a bit more work to do than I thought they did. But anyway.
Yeah, like the track is definitely slidable. They've been sliding on it. They had the homologation, so they had a few people from different nations, and then they also, so there's some more.
Okay. That one looks a bit more fish. People are listening to this in audio. Check the video version out and you'll be able to see what Sarah's holding up there. I mean, on that,
there's a track with just wood.
Stuff around that. Yeah. I mean,
built.
I don't know if you're able to answer this because it might be sort of a question without notice, but I mean, how much feedback has to come in from all three of the sliding sports? Obviously, I know that skeleton and bobsled are kind of connected and luge is kind of separate when it comes to the federations, but like obviously each body would have an input. As a bobsledder, you're going to have slightly different input to somebody who's in luge and somebody from skeleton. Are you aware of what that level of input comes into building a new track?
I have no idea.
There you go. That's my tough one for you.
And I guess like skeleton and luge have very different experiences on the track too. Like their lines and everything that they do will be similar. There is a lot of luge people that do come into bobsleigh and they do quite well in bobsleigh. But yeah, honestly, no clue. No clue. It's not very helpful for you.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'll scrap that one. But no, it's I just find it interesting because I mean, there's obviously very few sports where you've got ones that I guess are similar but very different at the same time. I mean, the only thing I can really connect it to is different forms of motor racing for a circuit, right? You'll say Formula One, MotoGP, different categories all doing the same thing. So I find that very interesting. Just on a tangent before I get back to what I was talking about, you say about how luge go into bobsled. How often do bobsledders get into luge? I never hear about that. And would you consider getting into luge? I think we need more luge. No. Back Alex up. We need more luge people out there, I feel.
We do have a luge athlete for Australia, but no, I don't think I would try luge. I would try skeleton for a bit of fun.
Really? So skeleton over luge? Because I feel skeleton's the scariest of all of them.
I don't know. I don't know why. Just if there was like I think they sometimes have like the tourist skeleton that you can just jump on and try. I would give it a go. And people did ask me if I should try a skeleton after the last games because I was in Placid and, it's a little bit cheaper. And it's not as much to cart around and you don't need a team and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, no, like I'm good with bobsleigh. I don't want to do skeleton. To be completely honest, I admire what they do and I think it's amazing, but I don't want to do it.
Ash was talking about how she was going to try and get me in a bobsled and just shove me down the track. I'm absolutely a chicken in life. I won't even get in a roller coaster, Sarah. But look, if I'm ever around, I mean, I have tickets to both the two-woman and the monobob in Milan next year. So
Nice.
I'm not saying that you can shove me in one during the Olympics, but hey, like if I happen to be around, I'm down for that. Are you still going to be doing monobob as well, or are you sort of still doing both? What are your prospects? Are you thinking monobob, or is it sort of mainly in the back of your mind? It's mainly two-woman is sort of the focal point come Milan.
It's combined. Basically, we have to do both to qualify. So both need to be kind of equally focused. That's basically for qualification. There is a possibility that we could qualify two-man and not monobob because there's less monobob spots available, especially for the nations trying to take two sleds. It's a very confusing process. I don't know if the other girls have explained it, but basically...
A bit, yeah. I try to understand. I just nod and smile.
I'll leave it with them. Yep. But there's less spots available for the nations trying to take two sleds in monobob. So there is, there's kind of three possibilities. One is we don't qualify. The other is we qualify monobob and two-man. And then the other one is that we just qualify two-man. Assuming that Bree is also qualified too.
I was going to say, with Bree's results, I mean, come on, that's a lock on the monobob, right?
Yeah, she'll be right. She'll be all good.
She'll be fine.
It'll be harder for us. Don't want to make excuses, but I'm definitely the least experienced in the field. I started kind of like a year later than everyone, or driving two men a year later than everyone. It seemed like after the last games, everyone got into monobob and two men straight away, whereas I did a little bit of monobob, and that was that first season. So, it's definitely not an excuse, but it does make it harder being one of the least experienced in the field. There's people there's all these teams with a heap of funding and they're getting everything that they need. They're getting all the equipment and the runners and the teammates that they need to get these results, and they are getting good results, but we aren't far off. Like if I can get my body sorted and get all these issues sorted and continue driving the way I'm driving, we're not far off these major teams. But there are a lot of other nations at the moment where their second pilot is also a development pilot. So Brie will have the competitions with all the first pilots, and I'm having a competition kind of basically with all these other development drivers and the second drivers of that nation. So it's basically, if we want to get two sleds there, it's up to me.
Which I have to say, based on what you're saying, what Ash has said, what Brie has said, when we had Kiara back on, obviously too, way back in the lead up to Beijing, it seems to me we've got some good stock going on in bobsled. It's almost a good issue to have that there's too many of you that you can't all go. So, I mean, are we placed well in bobsled in terms of the stock that we've got going out there at the moment?
I mean, Brie has done a very good job in bobsleigh. Like she's definitely built up. Her results and everything are amazing. She's making the most of it and she's going for it. I definitely think what I've learned from Brie has been very valuable going into piloting myself. And we do have a lot of girls at the moment. So I've got 3 brakemen. She's got 1. It's kind of a good problem to have a few alternates. I do feel very sorry for the girls. Like I had to have a talk with them the other day being like, look, people are going to miss out. I know what it's like. Trust me. There's a lot of people that know what it's like, and I'm sorry we have to have this conversation, but kind of this is how we're going to do selection for the team and how it's going to work. But even in the men, we've got 2 teams also that have started up sliding, and there's a lot of guys that they've had in and out of the season. So it's growing. I do hope that if either of us retire or if something happens that it can continue. I hope that we've kind of started it and it continues from here, because I think Bree set it up well. I hope that I can also set it up well. I hope that the equipment that we have can then continue people going past us as well.
I was going to actually ask on the men's side of things. I know you recently did a bit of media work at the Stall Gift and everybody was all on board the Gout train. How tempted are you and anybody at Bobsled Skeleton Australia to be like, hey, Gout, you want to, come winter, put on the suit and, help push the boys down the track a bit?
You need a bit more meat on his bones first. He's fast. That was a pretty awesome moment. Watching him run and the crowd getting around him. When I interviewed him on the Saturday, I was like, whoa, I don't know what just happened, but it was a pretty awesome moment. And the interviewing the whole weekend was so much fun. But yeah, the poor guy might need a bit of meat on his bones. Otherwise, he's going to end up with a few broken bones.
Let him get a couple of summer medals. Then we'll get him in the winter.
You need to have a bit of protection on the bones. But look, a lot of these elite sprinters, they would make amazing bobsleigh athletes. Being fast helps. You got to be strong as well. But I guess that's the thing that, yeah, people assume just being fast is good, but it's a lot more than that. You got to be able to put up with the winter. You got to be able to put up with moving the sleds. They're 170 kilos, or the four-man's even worse. You got to be able to put up with it being a little bit rough and all of that. And a lot of athletics people aren't very good at that. If you come from rugby like Ash, it's fine. But athletics people maybe are a little bit. I am from athletics myself, so I feel like I can say this. Sometimes athletics people would struggle with it, and like how much you have to be involved and how much work there is, especially, and also how rough it is as well.
Because it's also that level of like, you think of the sprinters and everything, but then I'm thinking of the ones with meat in the bones. I'm thinking of someone like a Matt Denny, right? So, but is he fast? He can throw a discus and he's got some meat in his bones, but can he get in this? This is the thing. It's got to be a balancing act, right? Long jumpers with meat in the bones a bit better. Like, yeah. I mean, what is the prime track and field event to get a bobsledder from with the meat and the fastness, if that makes sense?
Honestly, it's, he could have done any athletics event, but you're going to come to bobsleigh and your body's going to change. Yeah. So it's about, getting the right training in, getting the right coach on board. Like I've found videos of when I was running and I thought I was like, oh yeah, like I'm fit. And I know that I put on muscle, but I look at me then, I'm like, oh my God, I was tiny. I was about, like 9 kilos lighter than what I am now. And I don't look at myself and be like, oh, I'm heavy. I'm like, yeah, I'm strong. But I'm like, look at me back then. I was absolutely tiny. So, the main thing is like, yeah, you can have a background that you're very, very fast, but then you're going to have to put on that muscle mass as well. And like, honestly, I mean, I can speak for the girls, but also for the guys, like these guys are tall and they're huge. Like they're all around 100 kilos. You got some that are 110. You got some that are 90. I feel like 90 is like the absolute minimum you can go for the guys, but like 100 kilo guys, they're huge and you've got to fit 4 of them in a sled together. So that's a struggle. We don't have to worry about that. We don't have 4 men. But yeah, a lot of the girls, you're in your mid 70 kilos, some are a bit closer to 80 kilos, and all sorts of backgrounds. Athletics is a common one, like the sprinting, but you've got some javelin throwers, you've got some 400 runners, you've got like people from rugby, you've got people from cycling. Like I can't even begin to like list all the sports because it's such a like big background, which is so good because you can learn so many things from different athletes, but it can also be very bad if you're someone who compares yourself to people because you'll be like, oh, I'm not as fast as them, so I'm not very good, but also you can lift more than them because they're not naturally a lifter. So you got to be careful. You can't compare yourself to anyone in bobsleigh because everyone has a different backgrounds.
It's the beauty of so many winter sports, in particular coming from Australia, where, not many of us wake up and go, I'm going to become a cross-country skier. Like it's generally you're being recruited from other sports and kind of that mix of it. You touched on something that I wanted to ask, because I don't think I've ever actually really asked this to any of our bobsledder guests before. In a world of equality in the Olympic program where we're trying to balance out equal men, equal women, all of that kind of stuff, when I look at the bobsled, it's great that we've got the equal amount for both men and women, but why do we not have a 4-woman bobsled and a monobob in men? Can't we have like 3 for each? Like I'm sure there is a 4-woman bobsled that exists. I'm sure there's a monobob that exists for men. So why can't we just balance it out and have 3 for each?
Well, for the 2 men, we use the same sleds as the men. It's exactly the same. So there have been men that have jumped in the monobobs, and there have been women who have done 4-man with either men or women behind them as well. There've been a few amazing pilots who have gone and taken that leap. This all happened before I started bobsleigh. They did try and get 4-man in, but ultimately they decided to go with monobob instead to give that equal medal opportunity. Look, as a brakeman, I think life is so much better if you're a man and you've got 4 men as well, because there's 2 opportunities to race. If you miss out on 2 men, you've got 4 men. There's more opportunities to get in a sled. Whereas for females, obviously, you've got that 1 opportunity. Yeah. And if you are the spare, you don't end up racing. But if you've got 4 men, you do end up racing. So that is definitely harder. And you also, now because of the monobob, you're getting like a quarter of the runs because your pilot will be doing like, say, half and half. And then the 2 men is split into half and half again. But 4 men, there's just so many runs available. So that's definitely a challenge, especially if you are a brakeman who is new to the sport and trying to get runs. Like, for me personally, I don't do it half mono, half 2 men. I do a little bit of mono and then 2 men because I need more experience. And look, monobob can be a little bit lonely. I've really loved learning 2 men and racing 2 men and enjoying 2 men with my team because there's 2 people experiencing it and it's so much fun. Whereas monobob, you push at the start, you get down to the bottom. I mean, maybe you'll have one of your teammates there to help you or someone else will help you, but that's kind of it. Like you're there on your own. If there's 2 people there and, something not great happens in the run, you can have a bit of a laugh about it, or you can talk about it, or you can celebrate it together. Like everything that you feel in it is shared with someone else, and that's really amazing. So I don't know. It would be fun to do 4-man. It would definitely be fun. But on the other side of that, I couldn't afford to do 4-man, sorry. 4-man. All these different disciplines.
But there's 4 of you though. Can't you split the cost a little bit more?
I do have enough. I just couldn't afford to get the sled and get another van to carry it all around in. But like, that's the thing, like money is a big limiting factor in this sport, especially for someone such as myself. Like, we don't have the funding to be able to do it. Like, I don't get enough funding to pay for the season already. It's all coming out of my own pocket. So it's if we got 4-man, it'd be great. It'd be great for the sport. I'm sure that I would find a way to do it. And I do have a 4-man team, but I don't see it happening maybe for that reason. And there's less females involved in the sport as well. It'd be harder to get full teams of 4-man. I think it'd be a very small field, but I would love to give it a go. Like, ever since I first drove in the plant in 2020, I wanted to drive 4-man. So I think
I mean, Kirsty Coventry now, the IOC president incoming, I feel that particularly for the Winter Olympics, because we don't have that issue that we do in the Summer Olympics where it's like, let's create more events, but we've got to cut other events because there's too many events. Whereas the Winters, we've got room to grow. We've got plenty of space where you can add more in. So I'm just saying it, bobsled, same 3 for each. Add a mixed 4.
Oh, mixed would be so much fun.
That could work out well. Even the 2-man/2 woman, you could have a man and a woman. I
would love to do the mixed race. It's definitely a bit more of a challenge. So you add someone who, instead of being 75 kilos, they're 100 kilos into the back of your sled. It's a big difference. I've done it once. It goes faster.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But, it's an extra challenge, and I think it'd be pretty cool. I'd love to slide with my fiance. I'm sure he'd get in the back. I don't know. Some people he tells yes and some people he says no. But I would love to slide with him. He's an absolute beast of a pusher. And I hope that I would drive kind of well. It's just as long as it doesn't get swished around and we have to do it the other way for the other run.
Okay, congratulations, by the way, on the engagement. Is he on track for the Olympics as well?
So he's with the Czech team. He's from Czech Republic. So yeah, for sure. He's training so well at the moment. He's one of their brakemen. He's one of the most dedicated people I've ever seen in my life, and I really admire him as an athlete, as a person, and obviously as a person I'm with. But no,
assuming that's why you said yes. It wasn't just
just
save money on travel. I will get engaged.
But yeah, no, he's an absolutely amazing person, and he's very inspiring, and his dedication's incredible. So I really hope that he can get there. He's definitely on track as well. So he's training so well at the moment. I'll be back training with him soon, so it won't be so boring.
Are we looking at a Ararat wedding or a Prague wedding?
Neither. We're not the biggest fans of Prague. We only go there for training camps or business things, and it's always so busy. Ararat, look, love Ararat, grew up here, but there's not a lot going on here either.
You often compared Ararat and Prague, very
different.
One end to one is the other. Actually, I dug up a bit of history on Ararat. I was trying to see how many Olympians. Shane Kelly is from Ararat. Yeah. That's a big name to come from a little small town. So there you go. I like that when we can connect our small town guests and athletes and everything. But you'd be the first Winter Olympian.
I would be. We had Lucas Hamilton went to the Summer Games. They were in 2021 because they got postponed, I'm pretty sure.
Tokyo.
Yeah. So he also went there. He got a late call up for those games. So he's from here as well. So,
okay.
We do have some little bit of sportiness coming out of this town that's not just footy and netball and cricket.
Hey, well, you gotta dig through those ones. I mean, as a Tasmanian, I'm still saying, Sarah, we are the only state or territory that has never had a Winter Olympian, ever. Even the Northern Territory and the ACT have had Winter Olympians.
Interesting.
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still hopeful it could be me, but as age catches up with me and the fact that my sporting ability still doesn't exist, winter podcasting maybe they can introduce. I have no idea. We're going to close out. New set of 10 fun questions I'll get to in just a moment. But I've got to bring up a couple of things from Ash that she talked about. Vanessa Amorosi, Sarah, absolutely everybody. Your thoughts on this song? Because I hear she plays it a lot.
Yeah, she does, and I can't even remember how it started, to be completely honest. I'll have to ask her, but yeah, it gets played a lot, and she'll be there in the warming up in the parking lot, and you can see her just dancing like this. I'm like, I know what she's listening to. Or I played it on the way to the track on one of our race days. She's like, all right, let's go.
Let's go, because I remember in our very first interview, she said that she sort of designed playlists around certain tracks to get her in the mood, and this had sort of become her anthem. You said in our last chat, because I actually asked you the question around, if we were to get an Australian version of the Jamaica Has a Bobsled team to raise money, who would sing that? And you suggested John Farnham as an Australian iconic singer could sing, some people say, Australia has a bobsled team. So now I'm thinking we tie that in, get Vanessa on board, because my big push is to get Vanessa back into the opening ceremony for Brisbane like she did in Sydney. Do a duet with Nikki Webster. It would be like the perfect
Iconic
song. And imagine the funds that would raise. You and Ash and Bree and Kiara and everybody could be in the film clip of just Vanessa and Nikki singing, Australia, we have a bobsled team. Cash would flow in.
Imagine.
Yes, and we can scrap the song iconic. Imagine from the Olympics and sing this song even more so, because I'm sick of hearing Imagine at the Olympics. But Vanessa, Nikki, I don't know. Do we need to just start reaching out to PR people and their record companies?
We'll send them a podcast. When you're done with it, send it off to them. And John Farnham, can't forget about him.
Exactly. I mean, he's. I don't think he's too well, John, but I mean, he can be there in spirit. Just get a Jimmy Barnes. He's always floating around, isn't he? Any other iconic Australian singers we want to get involved? Plenty.
We have some good singers coming out of Australia.
We do. Get Savage Garden back together. That's my big push for 2032. It's two Brisbane boys.
Any of them would bring us a lot of attention for sure.
Hey, I'm saying that. And I suggested, Ash, too, T-shirts. Now, a lot of our summer athletes in the lead up to Paris got on the fundraising page and released team T-shirts for them. Ash mentioned she's sort of on board with the scrunchy train, but have we thought of, is that one of hers that you're actually wearing?
So this is, I'm doing a bit of free promotion here, Ash works with Scrunchy Co. and they have scrunchies and she got me onto them. So I've got one on my hand ready to go, but
there you go.
That's not a bad idea. I'll hit up Ash straight after we finish this and ask her about it.
I think you need to do it because it's one of these things that every time we have a guest on the show and they've got some sort of merch, I will buy it no matter what. And I haven't seen that from our winter athletes yet, Sarah. Yeah. And it's a bit of a
hard one. I've looked at it and I thought about doing it this year, but I have 3 weeks left in Australia before I head overseas. But yeah, we'll chat about it as a team and try and get something up and going.
Well, let us know what we can do to help because I think there's some great opportunities. Does the Australian bobsled team have a nickname?
Not really.
Okay, well,
our team is Bob Team Blizzard or Bob Team Blizz, for sure.
Bob Team Blizz, yep.
That's just our team. Not really. We're still kind of coming together as a team. I kind of spoke about the team before. It's last season was the first time we've kind of had a bit of, organization, and next season will be better, but not yet.
We've got to think of something because obviously the aerial team of the Flying Kangaroos.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the Moguls team to adopt the Bumperoos moniker because it fits perfectly. The Sledderoos, that's the obvious one, but
there'll be someone clever out there that come up with something clever for the name. There'll be something how did we think of that?
Exactly. As Australians, we have to name our national team something, right? I think it's only our men's and women's cricket team are the only two that are just the Australian men's cricket team, the Australian women's cricket team. Every team, you think Matildas, Socceroos, Wallabies, the Diamonds, straight away you know who we're talking about. So we need this for our bobsled/skeleton team. And let's throw Alex in there for the luge. I know they're technically separate federations, but screw it. They're sliding sports. They can
sliding sports Australia.
Yeah,
the sliding sports of Australia. Yeah.
Exactly. So again, putting it out there, people can come up with ideas. Get Vanessa Amorosi on board, all this sort of stuff. It's happening. I like it. Sarah, as I said, we now close out with 10 questions. These are standardized questions. And as I said to you off air, unfortunately, you haven't heard Bree's or Ash's chats because they haven't aired at the time we're recording this. You haven't heard their answers to this. So I can't
I'm a bit anxious now.
I know, right? I know. But no drawing this time. I'll tell you that now. So great. Good news. No drawing there. We'll start off with an easy one. What's the one thing you never leave home without when traveling to a competition?
Well, my race kit, but my headphones. My noise-cancelling headphones, yeah. Obviously my race kit and my sled and everything, but my headphones are a big one.
I feel that one needs to always have an asterisk, beside your equipment that you need to use. Are you a Beats girl, an AirPods? What brand are we using?
Are they? Oh, I can't even remember. They're a few years old now. I want to say Samsung, but I'm actually not sure.
Proud sponsor of the Australian Olympic team, Samsung. So I'm just trying to get you free shit. That's what I'm trying to do here.
Send me some new ones. They're getting a little bit old now.
Did you get, as an alternate, I know you get the kit and everything, but did you get the phone as well? So you got the phone. All right.
Yeah, I got the phone. I had the headphones and I lost them. But they never stayed in my ear. To be fair, I really struggled using them, but I don't know where they went. They were somewhere on season and I didn't come home with them.
There you go. First world problem working for the AOC in Paris. I get the kit, I get everything. We didn't get the phone, but I mean, we're just staff, so we're not athletes. So I know I'm such in a hard position in that privileged position last year. Question number 2: what's a tradition or superstition you follow before every big competition?
Good question. I think it's kind of a bit of like a routine, but if I didn't do it, I would feel underprepared. It's kind of like going through my mind runs of the run. So I don't know if the other girls would have spoken about it, but I think Ash does, like with her songs that she, can with the track and the mind run and stuff like that. But basically going over the track in her head with like the hand movements of the corners and how our steering works. I also like include the push in that. So whether it's a monobob or 2-man push, like I start off with the push, the run, and then, crossing the finish and everything like that. So it's more of a mental thing. I'll do it a few times throughout the warm up, but I will always I'll walk out to the start and give myself enough time to do a mind run out there, like in the cold at the start, in the atmosphere and everything before I go.
Always bringing cool runnings into any bobsled interview, but is it a case of like when Doris is sitting there with the photos of each turn and you're kind of like jimmying yourself, like do you do that the night before in the hotel?
No, I guess maybe some people do. Like we would watch like the POV video of the track, right. Which is from the sled, like from the pilot's position. Not necessarily the night before the track. I think when you're starting, a lot of people will do that. That's how you learn the track before you go down the track. When you start having more runs and more experience on the track, kind of like go on track walks, you talk about it with your coach, you do the mind runs in your head. Maybe at the start of season, you watch some POV videos, but the night before, I kind of just want to switch off. At that point, I'm tired and I want to go to bed.
Fair enough. That works well. You sleep probably important. You don't want to fall asleep halfway down a run, right? Like
I don't think you could. Too much coming at you. It's too much adrenaline.
I know some people that probably could. Speaking of songs, we know Ash's, but what's a song that is on every one of your pre-competition playlists, no matter what?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me have a look, because I know that like the last one I listened to is X Gon Give It To You.
I think that might have been the same one you answered a few years ago from memory as well. So it's stayed the test of time. I like it.
Yeah, it is, and it stayed there. Yeah, it just gets me fired up. And now it's just there, and yeah, it's there. There's a few different ones. This is not my most recent playlist, but Boys in Paris, Rock This Party. Absolutely everybody's on this playlist too.
Oh no, there you go.
Every Time We Touch, like there's a lot of
good song.
Different songs. I do have some country songs on my normal one. I don't know where my normal playlist has gone. I haven't listened to it in a while. But yeah, there's some upbeat country songs that I kind of start with as well because they're fun. I like to have fun on race days. Like for me, if I'm there and I'm focused and I'm serious the whole time, I'm not going to do well. If I'm there having fun, listening to fun music and like feeling good, I'll go really well. It's like the last like 10 minutes is when like the more like intense songs kind of start. It's
not really a sport I would associate too much with country music, bobsled.
No, but, I'm a country girl.
that works.
One of also, the songs on the playlist.
It's funny. I watched another podcast you had done just before this, and at the very beginning, the host of that show brought up something which I'd never thought about: bobsleigh versus bobsled. And you explained that if you're in Europe, it's bobsleigh, but if you're in America, it's bobsled. I didn't realize that it was kind of like a regional thing that it was called.
I think it also depends on like the way in which you're saying it. I'd say like I'm a bobsleigh athlete. I do bobsleigh. But there's some cases where it would make more sense to say bobsled.
Which I think we describe you in our graphics as bobsledder, as in terms of
bobslayer.
Like, bobslayer. Yeah, that sounds like
that joke.
Bobslayer sounds like a vampire, right? Like a vampire slayer.
True.
It's one of those ones that I feel. Yeah. But is it because I know there are some sports where if you use the incorrect terminology, you can actually offend an athlete. But like no one's offended. Are you getting offended if somebody calls you a bobsledder or a bobslayer?
No, I don't really mind so much. Like there's so many ways of saying that I don't really mind. Like I'll say both of them as well, and it really depends on who's kind of asking, I guess. But yeah,
and it's also. And the technicalities around 2-man, 2-woman, like, I mean, does that matter either?
Lot. And I don't know if that's just a habit thing. Like, because I don't, like, I see 2-man as in like 2 people in the sled, not like 2 male. A lot of people are very careful with saying like 2-woman and stuff. I don't really mind. I will say it. Or like brakeman. Like brakeman for me is just the name of the role. It's not like brake male or brake woman. I'll switch between, I'll say brakeman or brake woman sometimes and 2-man or 2-woman. Like generally if I'm saying 2-man, I'm referring to like the sport that I do in 2-woman, but yeah.
It's always just these terminology. Like even when you talk about fiance, like, is it Czechia or Czech Republic? Like, I mean, like it's, where are we at with that? Like,
who you're asking.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, yes, we like to clarify things every now and then. What is the most unexpected or funny DM that you have ever gotten?
I don't know, actually. There's a lot of inappropriate ones that come through that I probably can't repeat.
You can if you want to, or if you want to forget about them, that's fine.
Sugar daddy
as well.
kind of messages.
We're hearing a few of the athletes are getting sugar daddy and sugar mummy messages. So, you know.
Yeah, that's probably up there because I'm sorry, there's some of them are maybe watching this. I don't know if they're actually following me. They come through as requests, so maybe not, but like they're pretty funny. They'll come through and they're like, "Hey, beautiful, I hope you're well. Would you like to be looked after? We'll give you $1,000 a month." And I'm like, or $1,000 a week. I'm like, yes. No, but yes.
I just think sometimes you just say yes. Just be like, yep, sure. You just send me the money and then we'll see what happens.
I'm sure there's some people out there that would follow through, but no. Not me, but I think those messages are funny. And in terms of like recently I had an activewear company reach out to me and ask to do a photo shoot and some content with them with one of their series, which isn't like a funny message or anything, but that was like, all right, cool. Like that was really cool.
It's exciting. Yeah.
It's one of their like series about inspiring athletes, which will be coming out soon. It'll come out before this podcast comes out. So
fantastic.
Yeah, like inspiring athletes and stuff like that. And that led on to something else. And it's kind of like, all right, cool. Like it's not that I'm looking for recognition of things, but it's nice that what I'm doing is also like inspiring and other people are finding it awesome as well. So yeah.
And I'm sure you find interest in that too, because I mean, going back to when I mentioned how you'd done some work with Channel 7 for the stall gift. So is that something for yourself that outside of your professional career, once you hang up the sled essentially, that you'd look maybe to get into something like media or sort of more things along those lines as well?
I keep finding myself in kind of like media positions. I did commentate a race 2 seasons ago in the Altenburg World Cup because I wasn't racing in bobsleigh, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, this it's kind of funny. So this Channel 7 thing with Store Gift, I go there every year. Like I used to athletics. Store Gift is basically my home gift. I absolutely love it. Obviously haven't been running for a while, but I know the marketing or like the management team there. So that's how that happened. And it kind of happened through one of the sponsors that I have. They knew that I was home. They were trying to organize like a bit of a photo shoot and some videos for after store. And they're like, oh, but wait, hang on. If you're home, do you also want to do this? So I was like, yeah, why not? Like they asked me a week before. I was still in Europe. I was coming home like 2 days later. I'd just woken up. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So it was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed it. And it's funny, like this happened at Easter and we're now end of May and I still have people coming up to me telling me how much they enjoyed it. And I don't want to talk myself up, but that I did a really good job. Basically, they're like, you did such
Fantastic.
a good job. I'm like, yeah, thanks. Like I really enjoyed it, but I think it helps knowing the athletes. The only guidance I had was don't ask the same question over and over and over again. So in my head, I'm like, ask a different way. Like, how did you feel? And like trying to factor in other things. But honestly, it helps so much knowing the athletes. Like I had my best friend's little sister win a race and I was like,
wow.
I was almost a little bit emotional. I'm like, I don't know how to handle this interview right now. So it was very exciting and I knew everyone. So it was a lot easier, but I definitely wouldn't say no to more opportunities like that. Like, yeah, it'd be great to have some sort of training in it, but like I really, really enjoyed it. Would definitely be open to that. I have always said that after my sporting career, I'd love to be a coach, whether that's in bobsleigh, whether it's a physical coach, whatever it is. Like I'm back studying at uni right now, doing high performance sport, a graduate certificate. And I would love to work in that area, but also like the commentating side of things is so different and I really enjoyed it. So you never know. I'm open to opportunities for everyone out there listening.
Channel 9, again, if you're listening, she's available if she doesn't make the Olympics, of course.
To the Summer Games.
was Bruce McAvaney on the stall gift team at all?
Yeah, actually, this was pretty cool. So he came up to me, and I met him last year officially. Like met him last year 2 years ago. And he came up to me, and I was in between interviews, and he came over, and I was like, "Hey, how are you?" He's like, "Young lady, you are doing such an amazing job. I've been listening," and I was like,
wow.
He's like, Bruce, and I'm like, I know who you are.
Wow. What a moment.
He introduced himself to me and I was like, I know Bruce, we met 2 years ago.
That's insane.
Icon.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
look, trust me. If my phone lit up right now and was like, Bruce McAvaney is available interview, I'd be like, sorry, Sarah, I've got to go.
I would understand. I would tell you.
The one person I would cancel on anyone right now to do.
Yeah, but he was there. We had Tams and Lewis Manu was there as well. So I had a really good chat to her, and yeah, everyone that was part of that team was lovely. And Jason Richardson, can't forget him.
Oh,
I've been interviewed by him for a few times with some of my semi-final wins at the gift there. But yeah, see him every time I'm there. He's absolutely lovely.
We had Richo on not long after the Beijing Olympics. I mean, it's always interesting in this country when we change broadcasters, and I think Nine did a fantastic job last year during Paris, and looking forward to seeing what they do with Milan next year. But it's also that sadness that you lose out on people like Bruce being able to do it, because I do remember when Bruce used to commentate Winter Olympics. I think Turin was the last time he ever did a Winter Olympics, but Bruce at Winter Olympics always made me happy. Like, you know,
it would make me so happy. Like, he is amazing at what he does, and everyone knows it. And even Richo, like, I asked Richo about it, and he was pretty sad that he won't be involved. But you know, I guess that's part of the job, and they'll have plenty of other sporting moments coming up, and you know, we'll see him at Stall every year.
I used to love it when I was at Channel 7 during Beijing. We would sort of get a feed before we would cross to Beijing, because we were based in Melbourne, and it was Richo with Lydia Lassala.
Yeah.
And just watching like them before they would go to air, the fun, the energy they brought, they were just, you know, so fun to watch. And then when they were on air, they were also fantastic as well. So
they were a really good pair there.
Yeah. Hopefully Channel 9 have gotten Lydia on board. I'm sure they have next year, because we love Lydia as well.
Awesome.
What is the weirdest thing that you have ever eaten at an international competition, and did you like it?
I had the snails in France. It wasn't at a competition. We were just in France, staying with a family there, and I had the snails, and that was weird. I've done it. Don't need to do it again. Yep.
No, did you have it? Like, were they in the shells, or were they like cooked into something? Okay.
In the shells, yeah. I mean, everyone wasn't horrible. I'm not. I would say I'm maybe a fussy eater. A lot of people who know me very closely would laugh and be like, "You're fussy." I'm open to trying things. I don't eat a lot of things, and I have some intolerances and some allergies and stuff like that too. So my food stays pretty basic and consistent around racing.
Nothing wrong with that.
But I will try things.
That's good. Well, on food, your ultimate guilty pleasure meal after a big competition.
After a competition, honestly, we hit the road and we get on, so it's normally Macca's.
Nothing like Macca's is perfect.
Athlete and nutritionist here.
Hey.
No, like, I love a good pasta. Like, if we go out and there's pasta on the menu, I'm probably going to get pasta. But yeah, after a competition, it's kind of like, have your protein, have some like banana or something to get something into your system, and then we're on the road, so it's more often than not Macca's.
What's your Macca's order?
Well, I was trying to be better with this and have a wrap, because it wouldn't make me feel so gross, and it's obviously better for you. Like, the wraps at Macca's are pretty good over there. Yep. If not, it's often just like a cheeseburger. Actually, my favorite thing from Macca's is the egg and bacon McMuffin.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Always love it. Always have loved it. Always will love it. But yeah, just like a cheeseburger and chips and maybe some nuggets or something like that. So I do love their chocolate cookies too. That's something like, I'm going to get an extra little treat for later on the trip.
Hey, I no shame in admitting I love McDonald's, and I think it's, you know, it's same everywhere you go, right? You know what you're going to get.
Exactly. So, with some of the countries that we travel through, the food at the servos aren't great. I don't want to shame any particular countries, but you go in there like, no.
Yeah.
And just, or not very helpful for like trying to eat on the road, or there's stuff that I can't eat. And yeah, so Macca's is standard. The chips in Australia are better than Europe.
I would agree with that, yes. And I wish they would come back on board as an Olympic sponsor, because I think it's Rio was the last time I think they were an Olympic sponsor.
The last games we had KFC.
And that's
honestly,
right.
Like, towards the end, I started eating KFC, and there was pizza as well, because the food was very repetitive in the dining hall, and I was a bit over it. So I ended up going for KFC, because I'm like, I'm going to eat more if I go and have KFC compared to the stuff in the dining hall.
And it's when it's free, like I can never imagine being in a place where it's just like free KFC, free McDonald's. You're like, oh, this is dangerous.
It's good when you're in a weight-based sport, and I struggle to keep on weight. So
hey, that's the positives of that one. If you could swap, we answered this one last time, funnily enough. If you could swap sports for a day with another Olympian, what event would you choose, and how do you think you'd fare? So you answered last time aerial skiing. That's what you said. But I mean, is there a different one, or is it still aerials after all?
Well, I would say aerials, but my only condition is if I swapped, I would automatically be good at it. I don't want to try aerials and be bad at it. It'd just be like, just for the day, you're good at aerials, go give it a crack. I'd love to see what it's like, even into the water jumps. like, yeah, I admire their sport and I think it's absolutely crazy what they do. And it was funny, I was talking to Lydia after the last games and she's like, but like, you guys are crazy. I'm like, no, you guys are crazy. But another Olympic sport.
Can be summer as well. Like if you're sick of the snow.
I think it'd have to be another winter sport. I love the winter sports. The summer sports, I'm like, I've done athletics. Like, it doesn't excite me as much. I feel bad saying that, but I love.
We're Team Winter on this show, Sarah. It's our favorite. I know it's not an
Olympic sport, but I'd love to try F1 or like racing something.
Have you gotten into F1? I know Ash is a big F1 fan. Are you sort of into F1 as well?
Started getting into it. I'm one of those people who watch the series.
Drive to Survive, yeah.
But my partner and I, we started watching it as something to watch, and I feel like we watched all 7 seasons in like less than 2 weeks.
Who do you follow then if you're watching like the actual races?
I haven't gotten into it that much yet. I've started and it's a lot more popping up on my social media. It seems like whenever a race is on, I'm not watching it. There's a few favorites throughout the start of it. Daniel Ricciardo was my favorite, but obviously, yeah.
Yeah. Dan.
He was for sure my favorite, but it was Red Bull and then it wasn't Red Bull and there was McLaren. Like I do like McLaren, but just
as a long-suffering Ferrari fan, it kind of hurts that nobody gets on the red, but we suck. So I mean that's fair. Here's a challenge for you to talk to your fiance about. And again, don't know how deep he is into Formula One, but there is one Czech Formula One driver who I'm not going to name right now. He raced like 2 races in like 2001 off the top of my head. I know his name, but I want to see if your fiance knows it. You can get back to me to see if he knows who I'm talking about.
I'm going to say he doesn't know it unless he's some like history freak and does know it for some reason. But he only started getting into it when I started watching it too. So we're about same level, super basic. Like would love to go. We'll watch it if it's on TV. Obviously, when we're in Europe, it's easier to watch because of the time difference. I'm not going to get up in the middle of the night to watch it. Basically,
Similar to my thing with Bruce, probably the only thing that would cancel my love of the Olympics is Formula One. So it's kind of that balancing act. It's
a very interesting sport. I enjoy it because of all the stuff behind the scenes as well.
Yeah,
the action,
100%.
but like I was like, everyone keeps saying the bobsleigh is like F1 on ice. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize how true this was. Like basically the more money you have, the faster your car's going to be. The tires are like the runners. You're trying to choose it for the conditions, like all these things. It's a very different sport, but like it's something that you can kind of compare it to a little bit. So,
and at the end of the day, generally a German wins. So it's that's how it generally works.
Not at the moment we have. We have an Aussie at the top, right?
Yeah, Mr. Piastri, and I mean, in fairness, it's been a German driver, but as a Michael Schumacher fan, I just like to live in the early 2000s when Germans would win Formula One all the time. So Mercedes is a German team, so if they win, it's German. So
well, unfortunately for us, we're still stuck in the German winning everything era for bobsleigh.
Well, you are in the sport, the one sliding sport that didn't have a German win, right? With Kaylee win the monobob, so in Beijing. So
it does make a difference when everyone has to have the same sled for monobob, as opposed to German's own sled. But yeah,
and we know she's Canadian, not American. We're not getting into that debate. We'll piss our Canadian half of this podcast off. That's another story. If your Olympic journey were a movie, Sarah, what would the title be? And who would play you? And I've got some help for this one for you if you can't come up with anything either.
Yeah, I might need some help with that one. Obviously, my last name would be in there. My last name has to be in there.
I went to ChatGPT because they're our friends when it comes to this question. And I'm actually very disappointed in ChatGPT that only one of them came up with your last name in it, which is the first one, Blizzard Run. I'm guessing they're going on that side of things. I mean, that's pretty boring, let's be honest. No disrespect to your great last name, but there are other options here. Steel on ice, basic. Down under, downhill. I mean, that might work for an alpine skier, not a bobsledder, but okay. Push start, the Sarah Blizzard story. Ice fire, against the cold, the edge of speed, frozen grit, beneath the helmet. That one sounds like a true Hollywood behind the scenes story, to be honest. And born for the track. They're a bit basic, to be fair.
I feel like Blizzard on ice could be like, it's a combination of them, something like that. It's a situation where someone would just be really smart and come up with something really easy and we'll be like, why couldn't we think of that?
That's not bad. Now, in terms of who would play you, now before, because I actually cheated even more with ChatGPT, I generally just ask who would play you. And they generally give you just standardized, like, oh, this is an Australian. And they generally don't look anything like the person. I actually submitted a photo of you to ChatGPT. It said, like, who do you think? So I've got 10 options here. I've actually got another one that isn't even on this list, so I think you resemble. But before I get to those, doppelganger, has anyone ever said you look like XYZ person at all?
Someone did say once when I was a bit younger, Keira Knightley.
Yeah, okay.
In certain aspects or like certain ways, but recently, no.
I think to me, and again, she's not on this list, Shailene Woodley. I think you've got a bit of a Shailene Woodley vibe going on, if you know who that is.
No, I don't.
I think it was a Divergent. It was kind of the other Hunger Games type film, that one.
Oh, so,
yeah, I think there's slight resemblance. But the 10 that ChatGPT have gotten here, Sophie Turner. I don't actually even know if I know who that is.
I do. She played in Game of Thrones.
Okay, well, there you go. Florence Pugh. I just watched Thunderbolts last night. Yeah, I can see it.
For that. Yeah.
Yeah. Samara Weaving, great Australian actress. I see that one. Yeah. Eliza Scanlon. I don't know if I know. She's apparently Australian. I don't know who that is. Clearly, we're up to date with our young Australian actresses here. Caitlin Bernard. If I'm firing these off too quickly and you want to Google these, please slow me down. Olivia DeJonge, Anguri Rice, Chloe Grace Moretz. Yeah, okay. I know Chloe. Well, not personally, but I know who she is. I wish I knew Chloe Grace Moretz personally. Marika Monroe and Teresa Palmer. Again, I'm just not down with actresses apparently beyond.
I only know about half of them.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But look, we come up with, next time I'll get ChatGPT to do a poster with one of those titles.
Yeah.
That's actually an idea.
The cover art of the
yeah. Social media, that would be a good way to promote these interviews, Ben. Good way of doing your production meetings on air while I'm working these one out. All right, last two. These ones are a little bit deep, but I like the way these end. What is one question that you are tired of being asked, and what's the one that you wish people would ask you instead?
One that I'm tired of being asked, it's not necessarily a question I get asked, is like being asked about being an Olympian, or like, oh, you're an Olympian. I'm like, well, technically I'm not. Is basically that. It comes in all like sorts of forms. Yeah. And I can't get annoyed by it because people like, how would you know? Like I went to the Olympics, you're an Olympian. I'm like, well, I didn't race, so no, I'm not. What do I wish people would ask? That
it's kind of like one of these ones I feel like it could either go one of two ways. Like, is there some story or something from your career that maybe you've never told? Or like, is there something that maybe if like a young athlete asked you a question, like how do you think that could help them, so to speak, if they ask that to you?
I feel like a good one, and this is just like the first that comes to my head, is like, how can we help you? Like, how can we like help you? It could be literally just like, go and share my fundraiser page, or go and like, hey, do you know contacts in this area because you work in that area? Like, a lot of people just assume that we are funded and we have all the money in the world, whereas no, we pour a lot of our own money into this. So it's kind of like how can we help you get there kind of thing. That also I feel like kind of comes across as a bit selfish, but it would be like, lots of people can actually do a lot without having to put money into it, I guess, themselves. So
well, that's I think it's a valid one, and by all means, we can do that. Let us know your page, and we can share it on this, and we can do that. The t-shirts will be out there too eventually.
Yeah, hopefully get some t-shirts up and going. But yeah,
get it. The
page is in the link in my bio. Just FYI.
There you go. We'll make sure we'll tag that one. The last one, Sarah. This is the deep, meaningful one that we always like to end it on. Now, what is one lesson that you have learnt from losing that has shaped you more than winning?
It's not like just keep going, but it's like, I don't know. I think my story is basically that. It's just kind of the like, just keep going, or like, if you're not happy with what you're doing, change it, is probably the better way of saying it. If you're not happy, change what you're doing, change the way you're going about it, change your mindset. Like, I look at myself now compared to how I was going for the last games, and I definitely think I've grown so much and changed so much. In even like my attitude towards qualifying has changed. And I do think if we weren't able to qualify, I would cope with it a lot better, because everything in my life is like a lot better. But I think the main thing is like, if you're not happy with what you're doing, change it, I think is probably a good way to summarize all of that, which is basically what I did. I
think that is a perfect. That's why I used to be a bit skeptical about ending it on that question. But as we've discovered since we've introduced these 10, it's the perfect way, I think, to end
Yeah.
the interview on. It just kind of, it ends that way.
Yeah.
We haven't yet had one person come in and go, nah, nothing, losing sucks. Don't lose.
Yeah, losing does suck, but also it's not often that I'm going to be out there winning. So like, if you're losing, you're unhappy about it, change it, find something different, change your ways. Yeah.
I'll retire that question when we get Michael Phelps or Usain Bolt on the show. I don't know. I've never lost. All right. Fair enough. Drop mic. Yeah. There you go. Sarah, always a pleasure to have you on the show. We've got all our fingers, toes, and everything crossed in between now and obviously Milano Cortina, everything along those ways. If people want to follow the journey, plug your socials, TikTok, Instagram, all that, where can people follow you?
Sarah Blizzard on Instagram is the main one. I do have a Facebook one as well, which is just Sarah Blizzard Oz. TikTok I don't even know what my username is. It's there. I think it's just sarah.blizz or something like that. I'll be honest, my TikTok isn't great. I want it to be better, but I'm really bad.
I can't imagine there's a lot of Sarah Blizzards out there, so I'm sure they'll be able to find
There's a weather reporter overseas somewhere. The same
really?
Yeah.
A weather? Hang on a minute. Is that just a stage name though, being a weather reporter? I don't know,
but I've been asked the same thing, so.
Well, touche. Fair enough.
Yeah,
that works.
But Instagram's the main thing where I share everything, and then all of that goes straight to Facebook. So there, then you'll find links to fundraiser pages. I post all my training videos, like you mentioned at the start. I post a bit of behind the scenes stuff, and we kind of hope that this year we can share a lot more of the behind the scenes stuff about bobsleigh. So between
do a Drive to Survive style thing of all you guys out there on the world stage. That'd be fun. We'd watch that.
We're a lot of fun. Bobsleigh athletes are a lot of fun. We're pretty entertaining people. So
there you go.
Netflix. Hit us up.
Well, even Channel 9. Like I keep plugging Channel 9. They did a couple of great documentaries on the summer athletes in the lead up to Paris. So I sincerely hope they're doing the same for the winters. So we'll keep an eye on that. Sarah, pleasure. Thank you so much for your time on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.